Are we moving in this direction where gold will have a role? Why else did the BIS reclassify it Tier 1? Why else are the central banks buying it at a level that no one has ever seen? And why else are we seeing the exchanges, both the COMEX, the LBMA, not to mention the Shanghai Gold Exchange, and bleeding out of the ETFs? Who's taking it all? Where's it all going? The most sophisticated, well-funded, and well-informed investors in the world are draining the exchanges of all of their commodities, not just gold and silver.
After 3 months of net selling, central banks again became net buyers of gold in June, as the Central Bank of Turkey again played a pivotal role, according to data from the World Gold Council. In its latest report, the WGC said 6 central banks bought gold in June, with only 2 sellers in the marketplace. Andy Schectman, president and owner of Miles Franklin, believes that significant indicators point toward where gold will regain prominence. Schectman emphasizes that central banks are buying gold at an unprecedented level, as evidenced by their actions and the reclassification of gold by various institutions. This trend of increased gold trading is likely to continue as more and more investors and consumers see gold as a valuable asset. Schectman believes that a future system could be pegged to gold, possibly involving a percentage of new currency creation tied to gold's price. This would make the global financial system more stable and less susceptible to the whims of central banks and other government entities. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, might peg their respective currencies to gold, potentially leading to a decline in the value of the US dollar. Schectman expects this strategy to allow the BRICS to gain an advantage over Western economies without direct action. Moreover, the trend of significant gold acquisition by central banks and sophisticated investors indicates a potential shift in the global financial landscape towards a system backed by tangible assets. At the end of 2022, central banks were buying gold at the fastest rate since 1967. As of May, 70% of central banks believed that gold reserves would increase over the next year. Now let's watch excerpts from Andy Schectman's interview with Kitco News. Be sure to watch the entire video and consider subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to enable post notifications to stay updated on our latest uploads. Thank you and enjoy the video.
On a global stage, I think what it will provide will be stability and transparency and a bedrock of honesty, of a system that is trusted. And, you know, in my mind's eye, I see something that will not be convertible. De Gaulle proved that convertible currencies convert. I think they will use blockchain. They will use that as the ability to show the veracity and the immutability of what has been pledged to the system if they do it right, if they have it audited, if they are very transparent about it, and if they peg it at a level that maybe 10% of every new dollar or every new brick is pegged to the price of gold, you would have that authentic, trusted system. Now, coincidentally, James Rickard had a very interesting take on this. I'll just mention it. He said in his mind, what he sees coming is that the BRICS will value each brick currency unit to 1 ounce of gold. And his comment to me was that will enable the West to destroy themselves from within. The BRICS won't have to do anything. Because if they have to inflate their way out of this ever-growing mountain of debt, the dollar loses value, gold goes up, the BRICS win. If they try to compete with the rest of the world and buy gold, the dollar goes down, gold goes up, and the BRICS win. Now remember, you know, he was brought in by the CIA to go over financial war games, to find ways that other countries could destabilize the U.S. financially. He says that's exactly how he would do it. Just peg it to 1 ounce of gold. Let the price of gold go as high as you want. The value of the BRICS currency goes as high as you want. I don't know. But all I can say is from a standpoint of a continuum of world reserve currency mismanagement going back hundreds of years, or all the way to the Roman times, you see the same thing where governments choose inflation over austerity. And the only way, to Kristalina Georgieva's point, you will make a central bank digital currency work is to peg it to something to show the veracity of what is there. And you do it the right way with transparency, with auditing, you have something that I think becomes a substantial threat. to the system. To me, it's wealth, Michelle. It's outlived 2 world wars, German hyperinflation, the Great Depression, every pandemic, everything the world's ever thrown at it. And I think everything's coming full circle again, and the world's viewing gold the way that it traditionally has, as wealth. And when the most sophisticated, well-funded investors in the world, whether it be the central banks who have bought more than any time in the last over the last 18 months, or the others, this group of traders who are draining the exchanges. And let me tell you how sophisticated you have to be to drain the exchanges. Or the giant silver whale right now on COMEX, who has 50 million ounces long, and I believe it's in this others category. They will take delivery. It's supposedly a Chinese company in a world that has squeezed as much make-believe out of the Keynesian make-believe fiat system. I think that what comes next, in order for it to be legitimized, it will need to have something that gives credibility beyond just take my word for it, beyond the full faith and credit of any country. And I think that's exactly what it is.
Regarding the central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, Schectman emphasizes that 95% of the GDP contributing countries are developing CBDCs. He highlights the increasing adoption of central bank digital currencies globally, citing projects like Project Enbridge in China and the United Arab Emirates and Project Cedar in the United States. These digital currencies, combined with international trading bridges, could erode the settlement utility of the US dollar, potentially challenging its status as the world's reserve currency. According to a Bank for International Settlements, BIS report, the number of CBDCs in operation could balloon to 24 before the end of the decade. The BIS notes that the retail CBDCs will be the dominant offering, while their wholesale versions will be keen on closing the gap. Per the report, over 93% of surveyed central banks have indicated an interest in researching the potential of digital versions of their national currencies. Schectman ponders whether an event might be necessary to accelerate the adoption of CBDCs and new systems, even if it means starting over due to the substantial debt. Let's get back to the interview.
And we talk about full faith and credit. I mean, literally, we are broke. We are insolvent, as is the Federal Reserve on their balance sheet. We are broke and insolvent. We have nearly 200 trillion in debt and 5 trillion in assets, of which 40% is student debt. Where is the faith? Where is the credit? People say, who's going to trust China and Russia and the disunification there? That is what blockchain and gold would do to create stability and transparency. So was this all done intentionally? I don't know, Michelle. If you wanted to draw up a blueprint, you weaponize the dollar, you push away Saudi Arabia, and then you make everything inside the country, from the banks to social issues, to political issues, to justice issues, to all of these things, to our borders. Who are we anymore? And the world is saying that. And that is another rallying cry that gets everyone to the table. They'll figure it out how to make it work. And that's what commodities will do, to give that immutability. All of these countries, like I said, Project Enbridge, which was China and United Arab Emirates and another country developing that bridge. And I think it's called Project Cedar, in the United States. Same thing. The ability to trade back and forth using central bank digital currencies. But that doesn't mean there won't be a common settlement currency, or does it turn into a reserve currency? I don't know. But I do know this, that if you chip away at the settlement of the dollar, its utility in settling all of these trades across the globe, at what point does it really start to affect its reserve status? And you see that as rates go higher and the bond market becomes unstable. And what do you know? Fitch just downgraded, the debt market. And should it have been done a long time ago? Maybe it should have. Does it have more legs in it to see more downgrades? Maybe, as we continue to see this progress. And I just want to say one thing. People in this country have an obsession with instant gratification. It's not fast enough. You have to understand that I think there is that moment where bang, it happens all at once. But until then, it's the game of Jenga, piece by piece by piece. Little by little, then all at once, logarithmic decay. As far as the Fed is concerned, that's what they want. As far as the IRS and the government is concerned, it's what you just said. That's what they want. This kills two birds with one stone. And what did the BIS say? Every country needs to have one operational by 2025. 95% of the GDP in this country, or the countries that make it up, have a CBDC in development. It is coming. There is no question about it. The only question is, do you need an event in order for it to be accepted? In order for people to say, I'll take it? And that event, because no one wants to give up their privacy. Everyone understands what it means to pay with cash and to have the privacy that cash gives you, the anonymity. And, it's a scary thought to be in a world that's completely digital. And if you look at the patents that Bill Gates has relating to your medical records, your banking information, payment systems with Visa, and your ID 2020, all of it combining into one technology, it becomes very frightening. If you aren't doing things that the establishment says you need to do, they shut your pay off or your money off. So yeah, I think it's coming. And the question really becomes, do you have to create an event? And if you do, well, geez, guess what? We get to start over anyway because we're so indebted. Don't worry, most of it to the American people. We can take care of that. But we'll create an event, we have a villain to point to, and bang, new system, CBDC, maybe it's back to gold, maybe it's not. The point is that you have everything you need right there with a bow wrapped around it, and you can point to that villain that made it happen, and everyone wins. Well, except the American public.
There's no doubt that central banks are buying gold at an unprecedented level, and there is a growing trend of significant gold acquisition by sophisticated investors. This suggests that gold is becoming increasingly seen as a valuable asset and a hedge against inflation. What role will gold play in developing new financial technologies, such as central bank digital currencies? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. If you found this video informative, remember to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and enable notifications to stay informed about our latest videos on silver, gold, and copper. Thank you for watching, and we appreciate your support.